Before we cast off, let me ask a dangerous question. What if a banana, a cat, or a whisper sinks you? Sailors swore one wrong word could turn clear water murderous. They renamed ships with ceremonies, fed Neptune, then stepped right. Break the rules, and storms, sharks, or ghosts suddenly remembered you. We're testing the dumbest sea superstitions ever believed, pirate approved. From killing an albatross to Friday's no captain dared announce. Stay to learn which taboos saved lives and which sank reputations. Because if luck hates mockery, we should probably stop laughing. Killing an albatross. Curses the voyage, sailors swore. One dead albatross could doom an entire Cape Horn passage. From Atlantic whalers to Royal Navy crews, killing seabirds invited disaster. The legend hardened after Coleridge's mariner paid with endless torment. South Atlantic logbooks mention storms after needless shots near Tristan da Cunha. Superstitious mates hung carcasses from necks, a shaming, cautionary punishment. Naturalists later explained guidance behavior. Albatrosses trail ships for scraps, but crews in Cold Spray trusted omens more than lectures. In Cape Town taverns, veterans warned rookies, never aim skyward, miss birds, save luck, and maybe see home before next winter. Bananas on board mean bad luck and vanishing fish. Bananas supposedly made boats fishless and crews suddenly unlucky. Caribbean and Florida fishermen still avoid yellow bunches before trips. Stories trace back to Spanish galleons and Caribbean fruit schooners. One theory blamed ethylene gas spoiling bait and stifling oxygen. Another pointed to tarantulas and snakes hiding inside cargo. Bananas also ripened quickly, forcing dangerous, rushed sailing schedules. On charter docks, captains joke, shoes or lures, anything yellow, banned. Superstition wins, because nobody wants blame when fish disappear. So the fruit stays ashore, and morale mysteriously improves. Never sail on Friday, the HMS Friday myth persisted. Friday scared sailors so much a whole legend formed. The tale claims Admiralty launched HMS Friday and lost her. Historians note no such ship appears in Royal Navy registers. Still, crews from Plymouth to Portsmouth avoided Friday departures. Some linked it to Crucifixion Friday and unlucky market days. Others blamed payroll timing, delaying provisions, and angry creditors. By the 20th century, skippers quietly chose Thursday or Saturday. Official memos said nonsense. Crew folklore said, avoid temptation. When calendars clash with nerves, the dockside clock simply waits. Women aboard bring bad luck, except as bold figureheads. Sailors feared women aboard, yet carved women to guard bows. In British and Dutch tradition, stern superstition met carved guardians. Meanwhile, Grace O'Malley commanded galleys off Connacht without apologies. Anne Bonny and Mary Read fought in the Caribbean with cutlasses. Royal Navy regulations discouraged wives aboard, citing discipline and space. Figureheads sometimes bared chests, believed to calm angry seas. For shipyards in Brest and Chatham, art trumped deck rules. Superstition bent when a captain needed funds from impressed patrons. If she thrives as wood, maybe she threatens only as passenger. Renaming a ship without ceremony invites years of misfortune. Change a name carelessly, and crews expect years of trouble. Sailors believed Poseidon kept a ledger of every christened hull. To erase and re-enter, captains staged libations and coin offerings. When Sea River Mediterranean replaced Exxon Valdez, mariners muttered about omens. Archaeologists still find name boards hidden beneath fresh paint layers. Harbor masters in New York and Rotterdam humor the ritual. A spilled bottle pleases gods. Paperwork pleases insurers equally. Crews will accept both, but never a silent renaming. New letters on the stern need luck, not just bolts. Whistling on deck summons wind or calls up a storm. A simple whistle supposedly raised wind, then raised worse. Boatswains piped commands, others kept lips sealed under canvas. In the North Sea, fishermen scolded apprentices for tuneless whistling. One excuse was practical. Wind shifts hide shouted orders. Another was fear. Storms follow when luck hears invitations. Cape Horn veterans said save whistles for hail at landfall. Whistling in galleys also stole cook's patience and rations, so decks stayed quiet, except the boatswain's silver pipe. If wind truly listened, at least someone kept authority. Black cats aboard bring fair winds. Leaving ship means doom. Black cats reversed luck at sea, especially in British folklore. Sailors courted them aboard trawlers from Hull and Grimsby. A wartime mascot nicknamed Unsinkable Sam supposedly survived 3 sinkings. Stories tie him to Bismarck, Cossack, then Ark Royal. Whether embellished or not, crews loved cats for rat control. Losing one overboard meant misfortune chased your wake for weeks. Fishermen in Devon swore cats sensed pressure drops before squalls. Superstition and pest management made perfect purring shipmates, so captains fed them first, just to stay civilized. Red sky at night, sailors' delight. Morning sky, take warning. Crimson horizons guided decisions long before satellite forecasts existed. In Britain and New England, skippers read skies religiously. Evening reds promised clearing weather behind passing western fronts. Morning reds hinted moisture advancing faster than safe schedules. Meteorologists later explained dust scattering and low-angle sunlight. Captains still glance east from Gloucester piers before casting off. A proverb sticks because fuel money and lives depend. If the sky glows wrong, the nets stay drying. Forecast apps confirm later what grandfathers already practiced. St. Elmo's fire meant guardian spirits watching the mast. Blue flames licking yardarms looked like saints visiting watchmen. Mediterranean galleys called it St. Erasmus. Iberians said Corpusant. Magellan's crew recorded lights during storms in the South Atlantic. Physically, it's plasma, ionized air around pointed rigging. Emotionally, it felt like protection when thunder erased voices. Captains from Genoa to Cadiz noted calmer watches afterward. Modern sailors still photograph it on aluminum masts near squalls. Science answered the how, but folklore handled the why. Either way, glowing halos helped frightened crews keep working. Spotting the Flying Dutchman foretold death and disaster at sea. A phantom brig on the horizon meant doom to watchstanders. In 1881, HMS Bacanti logged a sighting off Australia. Midshipman Prince George, later King George V, noted the report. That night, the lookout who spotted it reportedly fell. Sailors retold versions from the Cape to the North Sea. Atmospheric mirages likely stacked distant masts into ghost shapes. But death following a sighting kept the legend alive. Captains recorded bearings anyway, hedging fear with neat handwriting. Better an extra entry than tempting whatever stalks gray water. Mermaid sightings were omens of shipwrecks and drowned men. Mermaids meant wrecks ahead, at least to exhausted lookouts. Columbus near Hispaniola described odd creatures, likely West Indian manatees. Henry Hudson's crew recorded something similar along Novaya Zemlya's coast. Ballads from Norway to Brittany turned sightings into warnings. Storms after long calms made imaginations hyper and hungry. Merchants kept lookout journals. Folklore kept the interpretations sharp. If you swore you saw one, nobody mocked loudly. They just reefed earlier and checked bilge pumps twice. Better embarrassed today than chased by waves tomorrow night. Never kill a gull. It carries dead sailors' souls. Gulls were sacred messengers, especially around Britain and Ireland. Cornish fishermen warned boys not to throw stones ashore. Legends claim souls of lost hands rode those wings. Areas near St. Ives and Skye repeated the same caution. Seabird rookeries also guarded bait lines from rat infestations. Killing one risked fines ashore and whispers aboard. Even practical captains balanced superstition with conservation rules. When feathers circled the wake, nobody tested tradition. Better to salute and bait hooks somewhere else today. A coin under the mast bought fortune and safe return. Shipwrights slipped silver under mast steps, buying luck before launch. The practice shows up from Dutch yards to Boston slips. USS Constitution carries coins beneath masts after major refits. Archaeologists recover scattered coins from Baltic and Mediterranean wrecks. Some captains chose national coins, tying patriotism to protection. Others used lucky dates, keeping numerology quietly in play. If storms cracked a mast, coins rattled like grim reminders. Still, shipyards kept the habit because crews expected ceremony. A hidden glint promised favors from whatever ruled depths. Champagne must shatter at launch, or the sea rejects her. A stubborn bottle foretells stubborn seas. Shipyard crowds insist. Ceremonial christenings evolved from wine to champagne across navies. When bottles refuse, crews swap labels to trick the omen. Titanic sailed without christening, fueling barroom talk for decades. Shipyards in Belfast, Clydebank, and Newport News perfected throws. Champagne wired to swing arms ensures dramatic, cracking contact. Broken glass splashes, names are shouted, and horns answer. Insurance men smile politely. Deckhands exhale with relief. If luck listens, it apparently likes bubbles and noise. Step aboard with your right foot first for luck. 1 foot wrong supposedly jinxes an otherwise perfect departure. Mediterranean skippers taught deckhands to favor the right. Portuguese trawlers and Greek caiques kept the same habit. Some captains joked they only tripped on unlucky days. Ritual makes focus sharper during those wobbly first steps. It's really a reminder, mind lines, cleats, and gaps. Still, crews watch boots and chuckle when rookies hesitate. Right first, left second. Then breath returns like tide. If balance returns, credit superstition and sturdy non-slip soles. Never say rabbit or hare before casting off. Certain words stayed ashore, especially furry, long-eared ones altogether. Along Dorset and Portland, fishermen used euphemisms like long ears. Channel Island skippers reportedly ordered cargo labels changed quickly. Some linked the taboo to rope made from rabbit skins. Others blamed burrowing landslides echoing down coastal quarries. Whatever the origin, crews avoided the syllables completely. Visitors learned fast when silence met their innocent picnic baskets. By the time lines cast off, vocabulary felt safer. Luck loves careful language almost as much as careful navigation. Calling someone a Jonah marked them as a jinx. One unlucky sailor could carry a whole storm's blame. From Nantucket whalers to Royal Navy frigates, Jonahs suffered. The label referenced Jonah, the reluctant prophet swallowed whole. Herman Melville echoed it in forecastle talk and jokes. Sometimes a green hand earned it after 2 rough watches. Captains moved such men between watches, hoping patterns break. If weather improved, nobody mentioned the reassignment too loudly. If not, the poor man faced colder shoulders nightly. Superstitions sometimes just redistributed fear into manageable pieces aboard. Crossing the equator required offerings to Neptune for protection. First-timers faced mock trials before Neptune when ships crossed. Royal Navy and U.S. Navy kept elaborate line-crossing ceremonies. Shellbacks initiated polywogs with costumes, seawater, and roaring laughter. Logs from HMS Hood and USS Enterprise describe raucous processions. Sailors offered gifts and staged offerings to appease sea kings. Harsh hazing faded. The tradition survived as theater. Crossing south still feels different. Sun vertical, compass steady. Certificates and nicknames followed careers across multiple deployments. Neptune blessed them, or camaraderie did, which works fine. Figureheads with open eyes helped see shoals and reefs. Eyes on figureheads supposedly saw reefs before distracted lookouts. Scandinavian longships carved dragons. Mediterranean galleons carved women. Shipyards in Lubeck, La Rochelle, and Cadiz specialized in carving. Eyes were often painted last, a quiet, careful moment. Sailors swore sharp eyes kept watch while humans slept. When bows met fog, crews touched the paint for luck. Storm wrecks sometimes left figureheads ashore, sparking village legends. Museums in Greenwich and Stockholm showcase survivors of tempests. Carved eyes still stare, daring breakers to try again. Pig and rooster tattoos on feet prevented drowning. Sailors inked pigs and roosters, hoping waves showed mercy. Crates for those animals floated, so the symbolism stuck. American and British sailors popularized designs around early 20th century. Old Manila and Honolulu parlors offered flash sheets with barnyard. Feet got the tattoos, closest to danger and deck. If a man overboard survived, the story sold ink. When storms rose, boots hid charms. Confidence hidden too. Meaning mattered more than anatomy on those funny animals. Anything that steadied nerves earned a permanent place aboard. Swallow tattoos promised safe returns after long ocean voyages. Swallows symbolized homecoming, returning to the same nesting grounds. British tars earned swallows for logged miles, sometimes 2 birds. Sailors said 1 per 5,000 nautical miles sailed. Liverpool, Portsmouth, and Sydney parlors inked wings on chests. Stories claimed swallows carried drowned souls skyward if necessary. Others said they simply promised a path back home. Either way, the birds flew across oceans on skin. When a voyage ended safely, another feather joined proudly. Tattoo flash framed courage as migration rather than bravado. Gold earrings protected from drowning and paid a burial. Earrings supposedly warded drowning and covered burial costs ashore. Pirates and privateers loved the look and the legend. Spanish-mained ports like Port Royal and Cartagena saw plenty. Some punched their home port names inside the hoops. Others swore gold improved eyesight, a sailor's essential instrument. Practical truth: jewelry pawned easily after wreck or capture. Customs officers noticed, but bravado usually outran paperwork. Legends grow when style, money, and survival intertwine, so hoops stayed bright even under gray Atlantic weather. Sailors treasured a baby's caul as a drowning charm. A preserved infant's caul supposedly protected bearers from drowning. Cellars in London and Hamburg quietly supplied worried mariners. Charles Dickens wrote about one auctioned to superstitious sailors. Wrapped in oilskin, it traveled inside sea chests for years. Accidents still happened. The charm simply promised better odds. Captains tolerated it, treating fear with a small placebo. On rough nights, owners touched it before going aloft. By port arrival, nobody bragged about secret protections. You keep quiet about luck that might walk away. Never cut hair or nails at sea. Storms follow. Trimming at sea supposedly stirred winds into arguments overhead. Breton and Galician fishermen delayed grooming until safe harbors. Loose clippings were blamed for calling gulls and squalls. Practical fear involved hygiene, vermin, and slippery decks. Barbers operated in portside sheds, not rolling cabins, so men grew shaggy during longer voyages into Biscay. When tempers rose, someone pointed at clippings sweeping scuppers. Better to wait for a calm day and bucket. Superstition masked logistics, which still works surprisingly well today. Unscheduled ringing of the ship's bell summoned restless spirits. A bell ringing itself meant death stalking the watches. On square riggers, bells marked time. Extra rings panicked crews. Stories told of loose clappers striking during fogs unexpectedly. Stewards searched ropes and mice before whispering about ghosts. In harbor, priests sometimes blessed bells after fatal voyages. Engine room telegraphs later confused matters on steamships during alarms. But night bells heard alone still froze superstitious hands. Captains logged incidents, blaming swell and slack rigging. Crew blamed fate and listened harder between strokes afterward. Don't look back, leaving harbor, or luck turns with you. Glancing back supposedly drags your fortune back to quay. Mediterranean crews kept eyes forward past breakwaters and lighthouses. Greek fishermen compared it to tempting jealous gods ashore. Practical motive: focus on swells, ferries, and outbound traffic. Port pilots in Piraeus and Marseille quietly approved the habit. Only after open water did faces finally relax. Superstition simply packaged vigilance in a memorable rule. Nobody wants their luck tied to whatever waits ashore. Eyes ahead, throttle steady, and cigarettes stay unlit today. Meeting priests, redheads, or flat-footed men spelled misfortune. Some faces at dawn supposedly soured entire fishing days. Cornish and Scottish skippers dreaded priests, redheads, and flat feet. Workarounds included speaking first or touching iron on railings. If the person wished luck, the omen flipped acceptable. Harbor gossip tracked which alleys to avoid before sunrise. By noon, fish prices mattered more than morning encounters. Still, the early jitters could tighten tempers on deck. Superstitions thrive wherever patterns feel painfully uncontrollable at sea. So dock routes zigzagged around unlucky bar doors nightly. Never speak the word drowned aboard, tempting fate. Certain words were replaced with softer, less provoking ones. Crews said lost, gone, or missing rather than drowned. Logbooks sometimes mirror this language across the 19th century. Euphemism felt safer when gales already said too much. Families reading entries later faced kinder words, though grieving. Captains discouraged jokes about death and survival odds aboard. Silence tried to keep outcomes unobserved by jealous luck. It's theater, sure, but theater soothes cramped quarters nicely. On rough nights, nobody risks the wrong syllable aloud. Killing dolphins or porpoises brought gales and punishment. Harming dolphins supposedly angered the sea and sky together. Irish and Manx fishermen warned crews against needless strikes. Whalers distinguished targeted species from protected, playful escorts. Stories linked storms to bloody water trailing astern. Some regions attached fines or clan curses for killers. Modern law now echoes older taboos with penalties globally. Even pirates preferred companions that warned of sharks nearby. Better luck followed kindness, or at least fewer enemies. Either way, the wake stayed quieter behind the ship. Witches sold knotted cords to buy wind at sea. When calms trapped ships, sailors supposedly bought bottled breezes. Lapland and Orkney folklore described cords knotted with winds. Untie one knot, get a gentle breeze for progress. Untie two, feel stronger winds. The third brought gales. Travelers like Olaus Magnus wrote about such northern trade. Skeptical captains still bought charms when cargo spoiled. Harbor markets from Bergen to Kirkwall whispered the prices. Sometimes the wind rose anyway, making everyone look brilliant. Confidence can be the strongest gust in a doldrum. Throwing stones into the sea insulted it, raising tempests. A tossed stone could wake a sleeping gale without mercy. Shetland and Faroe crews warned boys along the harbor moles. Mediterranean fishermen repeated it near Chios, Crete, and Naples. The sea dislikes insults, elders said, especially thrown from piers. Practically, rocks ricocheted, startled crews, and cracked painted planks. Harbor masters fined offenders when windows shattered along quays. Superstition turned that scolding into a weather warning with teeth. Old men pointed at black squalls forming behind lighthouse shoulders. Nobody invites breakers by throwing pebbles, like challenges into surf. Opening an umbrella below deck invited squalls and accidents. An umbrella snapped open below deck supposedly summoned angry squalls. British coasters and Newfoundland trawlers banned them in cramped cabins. Practical reason first. Metal ribs gouged eyes during sudden rolls. Wet canvas already dripped. Nobody needed extra dripping indoors. Boatswain lockers kept oiled slickers. Umbrellas belonged ashore. period. Still, superstition blamed gusts on foolish passengers ignoring warnings. In Whitby and Fowey, skippers confiscated fancy city umbrellas. Better a damp hat than a nervous crew below. Close it tight, stow it, and let weather stay outside. Flowers aboard were funeral omens. Fishermen refused bouquets. Bouquets on deck felt like funeral wreaths before the funeral. In Brittany's Douarnenez and Cornwall's Newlyn, fishermen refused flowers outright. Galician crews near Vigo echoed the taboo with hard stares. The association was powerful. Graves, wakes, and cold church steps. Practicality peeked through. Pedals clogged scuppers and hid hooks. Market buyers preferred lively decks, not perfumed, delicate displays. When someone arrived smiling with roses, silence answered immediately. They learned to bring coffee, rope, or spare knife blades. Anything but lilies, unless you wanted side-eye the whole watch. Never lend salt at sea. Your luck leaks away. Lending salt supposedly drained luck the way barrels drain brine. Icelandic longliners and Norwegian fjord boats guarded salt supplies carefully. Curing herring in Ålesund demanded exact measures, not neighborly scoops. Moroccan sardine crews at Safi told similar salt-hoarding stories. Give some away, catch numbers collapse, said the key whispers. Real motive was inventory, contracts, and hard winter prices. Still, a borrowed pinch could sour an entire morning's mood. Captains suggested trading coffee beans instead. Balance kept intact. Salt stayed sealed, luck stayed sealed, and arguments stayed ashore. A horseshoe nailed to the mast held fortune in. A nailed horseshoe promised fortune gripping the mast from above. Irish currach crews and Dutch coasters agreed on the charm. Some insisted ends pointed upward to hold the luck. Shipwrights at Enkhuizen and Kinsale hid them during refits. American coasters around Gloucester copied the habit without debate. Old iron from farm gates felt especially powerful and honest. When seas rose, deckhands tapped the shoe for courage. If anything squeaked, wedges appeared quickly before whispered prayers. Metal, belief, and timber formed a tight three-part alliance. Painting a boat green was feared to bring misfortune. A green hull supposedly invited misfortune from keel to masthead. Irish and Scottish fishermen repeated it along Kinsale and Peterhead. Nova Scotia crews echoed the warning in Lunenburg and Halifax. Some linked the color to drowned weeds and funeral greens. Others blamed camouflage, hard to spot when rescue matters. Paint shops pushed blues, reds, and plain tar instead. Superstition aligned neatly with visibility and night docking safety. A few rebels tried it, then repainted after sour trips. Green returned to nets and buoys, not the planked skin. Counting days at sea angered fate and invited a storm. Counting down days aloud supposedly invited storms to interrupt everything. Tea-clipper crews avoided boasts during long passages toward London. Homeward-bound barks from Valparaiso kept similar superstitions very quiet. Logbooks recorded miles, but forecastle talk dodged exact arrival dates. Families waited on docks. Captains dodged promises and calendars. Sailors learned the ocean punished certainty more than caution. If someone bragged, old hands coughed until silence returned. Better to say soon and coil lines a little tighter. When land appeared, everyone pretended they never guessed anyway. Spitting on the first catch ensured plenty for all. A quick spit on the first fish supposedly primed fortune. Baltic herring fleets around Bornholm kept the habit alive. In Åland and Turku, skippers did it with practiced nonchalance. North Sea trawlers near Grimsby repeated versions with cod. Some said it distracted jealous spirits eyeing a good haul. Others claimed it simply marked the net for easier storytelling. Either way, crews relaxed when the first glitter hit planks. Old mates watched the green hand. Nobody wanted skipped tradition. A small gesture, a deep breath, and trawls kept coming. Sticking a knife in the mast would cut a rising storm. Driving a knife into the mast supposedly sliced a storm. Norwegian and Faroese crews swore by the sharp remedy. Basque whalers reportedly tried similar tricks near Labrador grounds. The gesture felt decisive when barometers fell and canvas screamed. Bosuns used sheath knives, biting wood above the partners. Skeptics called it theater. Believers called it quick insurance. Afterward, the knife stayed put until squalls eased back. Then someone wiped the blade, and nobody mentioned explanations. If calm returned, the mast bore a quiet, persuasive scar.